Everybody, just want to work on the feedback here with some of the sound, but I just want to, as we do that, just thank each and every one of you for being here today, and I just want to thank you all for meeting this moment. And there's an old saying that says, wherever your focus flows, your energy goes. And so the last month, all of you have put your time, your energy into getting to where we are today, and that's the capacity to deliver on a big issue. So often is the case in politics, at least a lot of punditry suggests that we major in the minors and often lose sight of the big picture. That certainly is not the case as it relates to the two bills that I have the privilege of signing here today. The issue of evictions, the issue of this moment and the economic anxiety that so many people are struggling and suffering through is the issue. And we have not lost sight of that. And I just want to thank the leadership in the Assembly, leadership in the Senate, and I'll be introducing just in a moment Pro Tem, and Pro Tem will be introducing the Speaker. And I want to compliment them on their extraordinary leadership, demonstrable leadership, the capacity of their staff to work across the spectrum, working not just with our staff, but with so many of the stakeholders that are here today to get to a place where we had, I think there was just one exception, unanimous support, Democrats and Republicans coming together in the Senate and the Assembly on a big bill. And that's the way it should be. I mean, it's the way we all would like it to be. So often it's not the case, but it's wonderful when that happens, protecting millions and millions of people, tenants as well as landlords, and addressing their anxiety head on. We did this a year ago. Heck, we did this 2 years ago with 1482 and the just cause issues. That was big. I don't think any other state in the country had done that. We did it last year together, working together in 3088. We're now building on 3088, the nation's strongest, and we could say this objectively, we've done the research, the nation's strongest rental protections. And that's a point of pride at this moment in our nation's history, certainly in the history of this state. And so again, I'm just here with gratitude, humbled by the enormity of the task ahead of us, not naive that good enough ever is. We recognize we have to do more, and we have to continue to support those most vulnerable in this pandemic-induced economy and the recession that we continue to work our way through. But this is a significant moment, not only extending protections that were due to expire this Sunday, extending them through June 30th of this year, but also providing emergency relief, $2.6 billion, drawing down those federal supports. Thank you, Speaker Nancy Pelosi. Thank you for her leadership, making sure that those dollars were here, the $1.5 billion that the state will receive. We're going to get those applications out and done before, we hope, March 15th, but the bills that I'll sign require it before March 15th. We want to see those entitlement jurisdictions that are receiving the other $1.1 billion do the same. We want to make sure we're coordinating, collaborating in terms of the distribution of those funds, leveraging them, and of course that's what this bill does. This bill encourages everybody to participate, including landlords, that 80-20 split. If landlord decides to take it, got to provide a little bit of relief, that 20%. If landlord chooses not to, the tenant gets that 25% on the back rent. We have a little utility support, by the way, profoundly important. All of us understand the magnitude of the utility burdens, and that's across the spectrum, not just heat and gas, but obviously related issues, electricity, and obviously water. So this is a really important step forward. And I want to acknowledge not only the leaders that will be talking here today, but I want to acknowledge the leadership of Assemblymember Reyes and Senator Hertzberg for helping steward this process along, working, again, across the aisle with their colleagues in the Assembly and the Senate. We're going to hear from someone who's directly a beneficiary, mother of three, that will put a human face on what this is really about. And that's the spirit that brings us here as well. Tomika, my old friend, remarkable leader as well, you'll hear from in a moment. as well. I just want to acknowledge, before I now turn it over to the pro tem, I want to acknowledge my team. I want to acknowledge Mark and Rhonda. I want to acknowledge Angie and Anna. I want to acknowledge Jason Elliott, all of our folks, Priscilla, that worked so hard to get to this point. Thank you all for your outstanding work as well. And so with that, let me just again thank the speaker, thank the pro tem for the collaborative spirit, for the extraordinary leadership and the capacity to deliver on a big, big thing in a time that's very constrained and very challenging. That, again, is what leadership is all about. So it's an honor for me to introduce the leader of the Senate, who has just done a magnificent job getting us here to this point, and that's our pro tem, Tony Atkins.
Governor, thank you so much, and good morning, everyone. I'm thrilled to be part of this historic virtual bill signing today. You know, last year, the legislature and our governor, we were able to deliver a lifeline to help tenants and small landlords who are struggling during this pandemic. This year, we knew if we didn't act, in a few days, that lifeline would slip through our fingers and more Californians would suffer. Today, we're able to take another important step forward, and the lifeline has indeed been extended. But the fact of the matter is, we're going to need a bigger boat. We know that there are more struggling Californians who need our help to stay in their homes, and reaching them is a priority for me, for the speaker, and our governor. I want to acknowledge my Senate colleagues who were instrumental in reaching today's agreement. Majority Leader Hertzberg, who's with us today, Senators Caballero, Bradford, Skinner, and Umberg will continue to provide that leadership. I also want to acknowledge the staff. You know, when we all row that boat in the same direction, it's amazing what we can accomplish together. To my policy director, Kimberly, my chief of staff, Nick, Misa, Eric, Chris Woods, I just want to thank you for being part of the staff team that worked with the governor's staff and with our speaker's staff to make this happen. They worked around the clock this last 2 weeks. I'm not kidding. So we're going to keep working together as a team. We're going to keep working with tenant advocates, other housing stakeholders, our colleagues at the federal level to identify and implement other actions that we can take to help struggling Californians. The Senate's going to continue our ongoing efforts to increase housing supply and reduce housing costs. There are so many things that people have to be concerned about regarding COVID-19. Eviction shouldn't have to be one of those things. So I'm looking forward to this bill being signed, and it is my incredible honor to turn it over to my legislative partner, Speaker Anthony Rendon. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Pro Tem. I'll be brief because, as you've said, the key to know about this bill is that we have to get back to work on longer-term protections. I do want to thank the governor and the pro tem for their collaboration in making this happen within a very, very demanding time frame. Like the governor and the pro tem, I also think it's important to note that our respective majority leaders, Eloise Gomez-Reyes and Bob Hertzberg, were instrumental in making sure that today happened. I'd also like to thank our Assembly Housing Chair, David Chu, for all of his hard work, not only on this piece of legislation, but in this space in general, and in his commitment toward making sure that we have a just and sound housing policy in this state. It is a mistake to make this bill just a matter of winners and losers. I think we all know that. Those of us pushing to get this done knew that there were literally homes and lives at stake. This bill represents a reprieve, but not a release. Nevertheless, based on what we were able to do, I'm hopeful we will have more success for the long term. Thank you. Governor?
I appreciate that. And again, thank you for your extraordinary energy and leadership placed in this and getting this done. And let me also just, because I was remiss, you should always start with your secretary, Secretary Castro Ramirez, who, Lord, has did an amazing job as well, and her entire staff. So thank you, Madam Secretary, for your leadership. And thank you, Mr. Speaker, acknowledging David Chu, who's been at this for years and years. And I, too, want to share and express my public appreciation for his effort and support in this. We have someone as I noted, 3 young children, has, and I don't want to tell your story, I think it's at $8,000 of back rent, had COVID, whole family, and went back to work. There was no job there to go back to, and has been working through. I think you have actually a very generous landlord, which, by the way, we're trying to help small landlords as well here. At the same time, we're helping tenants that's trying to work through this. But I think you're just a perfect example of someone who will be a direct beneficiary of this bill. And as the speaker said, it's about human beings. It's not about data stats. This is about real lives and your own personal journey. And I'm honored, Zella, that you're here to talk a little bit about your journey and introduce yourself more formally.
My name is Graciela. Thank you, Government Nation, to invite me to share my story. We got sick in September. All my family got COVID. Me, my husband, my kids, everybody get sick. As a family, we're a strong family. We always keep together. We work together. And then we pass through this thing. In that moment, I don't worry about the financial. I worry about my family, about my husband, about taking care of them. And then when we're done, we're trying to go back job, no job. Now with this news, I get so excited. I get so happy. And I want to say thank you, because this one has helped me too much. Help my family to keep going. My kids are in the university, and I wanted them to get better life. I wanted them to be better than me and my husband. And with this help, we want to get it. Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing. And I know, because this is other family in the same situation, or maybe in difficult situation. I have a great landlord. He keep me here without pay. And that's just like very, very good. I bless this guy. Thank you so much for everything, what you do in this moment. This is a very blessed for all the families in California. Thank you. I really appreciate what you're doing.
What more can you say? Thank you, and thank you for being with us. Thank you for sharing your story. Thank you for being such a wonderful mother, and thank you for your sacrifice and commitment to them, which is exampled in your words. And thank you again for just helping all of us understand what this is really about. Tamika, you're helping people every single day in similar circumstances. We've known each other for years. Homelessness, housing is your issue. It's your life. It's your passion, your vocation, your role now more broadly defined in the state. I'll pass it on to you. Maybe you can talk more about really what's at stake, what's the magnitude of the challenge in front of us, and maybe pick up, if you can, a little bit on what the pro tem and the speaker both said. And I just want to reinforce it. We're not done. None of us are naive that we have a lot more work to do. Maybe you could pick up from there.
Thank you, Governor, and thank you, Speaker and Pro Tem. I mean, we wouldn't be here without your leadership and all of the leadership that it took for us to get to this important moment. And I think, Governor, to your point, Graciela's story represents millions of people in our state who need us right now. We had to sprint to this finish line to ensure that many folks were not going to experience homelessness or fall below parts of their lives that they couldn't imagine. But this work is a marathon. All Home, my organization, which is a regional organization working to find solutions to poverty and housing insecurity for extremely low-income people. We know that extremely low-income people and communities of color have been disproportionately impacted by both the pandemic as well as housing insecurity. And so this bill reflects a lifeline, I think the pro tem said, right, which is ensuring that there is stability in those homes and households But what we have to do is make sure that these resources get directly into the hands of tenants like Graciela. We need to make sure that we work with your staff, Governor, with Secretary Ramirez and many others, and especially our tenant advocacy groups and community organizations who are going to be delivering these resources in a timeline that is really challenging. And so implementation is key. All homestands at the ready to really support our community partners and the legislative leadership, as well as your leadership, Governor, in order to ensure successful implementation of this. I've been working in community for 25 years. I know my skin looks good on Zoom, but this work is my passion, and we don't have an opportunity to let up the gas because we got to this moment. And so I look forward to the partnership that will continue, which is really where it's going to matter, making sure that this money gets into the hands of our extremely low income tenants and our landlords. We know a lot of our landlords are struggling. We see this as a balanced approach to ensure engagement of both tenants and landlords, but we also know that so many times tenants are left behind if we don't do this work well. So I look forward to working with all of you on making sure that we support tenants like Graciela and her family and staying in their homes. All right, Governor, I'm going to send this back to you. Happy Friday, my friend. It is great to see you, and I really appreciate your leadership on this.
Thank you, and let's share your passion with action, and let's sign these bills. And I'm going to just get these things out, move forward with SB 89, SB 91, because we can't sign it soon enough. And again, deep gratitude to everyone that made this happen. Here's SB 89, official, and SB 91. Thank you all for making this happen. We're grateful to each and every one of you. Well done, and the best still is yet to come. More work to do. Thank you, everybody.